Hi there, knife people, hello lady and gentlemen. Tonight I'm taking an even deeper dive into this Hogue Mysto knife. If you saw my first video about this knife, well, let me remind you, there are a few things that I am trying to address and not just merely disassemble and reassemble this knife. If the knife can do this, then that means the blade has a play. Pretty good amount of play. If I start tightening it down to where there's no play, right there, then it loses its ability to drop shot, which is not a big deal to some people, but to me it strikes as strange. So when you opening it, it makes this screechy noise, which actually detracts from a sense of having a premium knife. And it's definitely a premium knife, at least it has potential to be a really premium knife. So I had it for a couple of days now, and I was able to isolate the noise to actually the bar lock movement itself. So if I pull back on it, no noise. But if I don't hold the bar lock back, noise. Let's take it apart and see what's inside, what's causing it. I like starting disassembling any knife with removing of the pocket clip so it doesn't get in the way if I need to lay the scale flat. So let's do that. All right, the screw wants to stay there. And now this one, oh man, there's a problem. So for me to get to the screw, that hole overlaps the screw head a little bit. The bend radius probably in the wrong place for that hole to overlap the screw by that much. You can see here, that's the angle that the screwdriver comes in at. It's a pretty severe angle. I'm gonna say maybe 20-degree angle. Let's cross our finger. I want to try, see if the screw is not too tight. I feel like the bit is still catching the socket there. It's a T8, which is a good thing. It's T8 all around. Okay, it looks like, all right, so I'm able to unscrew it. Whew. Okay, all right, so it doesn't seem like it damaged the screw. Well, calling it close here, Hogue people. Okay, this is quality control. I bet the drawing, if you look at the engineering drawing of this knife, there's a perfect access to the socket head screw there, to the Torx socket head right there, without angling the driver. But somebody didn't bother to check the correctness of this bend radius, so if it was pushed out a little, that would be a non-issue. I don't expect any difference in disassembling this comparing to the bug out or any other crossbar knife. And now I'm starting to unscrew that. As I said in the previous video, there's no Loctite on this. Now the scale should pop off. I want to move it here so I don't lose it. That's the spacer. Let me see, the spacer is not captive. Now I need to push out the pivot nut, and I just insert my, it's in there, okay. All right, so now the blade will come out. Give me back my bit. Okay, there's a lot of oil there, and those are my washers. I use like any old wooden stick, plastic stick, anything to help me along the way. All right, so here are my two washers, and They're in a good shape. There's not much wear pattern. This one has a little more wear pattern. Okay. And like all these stamped washers, one side is flatter than the other. There's sort of a rollover of an edge. It's like a little dinner plate with a hole in the middle. And all of these little things matter when it comes to premium knives. So for example, I think these should be absolutely flat. All right, there's a lot of oil in here. And we'll wipe it off in a little bit. Maybe not. All right, so let's see, or let's hear if this makes the noise. So apply a little pressure. No noise. I'm examining the blade now to see. No, this is pretty high finish here. All right. So why would it make noise? Ooh. I see a little bit of a burr here on the edge of that D-nut detent. Same here. That's not a good thing. Let's put this in. So I had to pull back a little on the crossbar. And it's a good thing the springs are staying in place so they're not popping out. That's good. So let's close it. No noise. Interesting. Let's wipe it down some. I see no sharp edges. They're all some oil. That's the way to do quality control, is just add lots of oil. You just heard it. And the noise showed up, reappeared. Somehow the spring interacts with the scale and makes the noise. The spring is pre-compressed. When you insert it into the frame recess there is a direct contact. It doesn't ride free. Yeah, here's that noise. So what makes the noise is this curve in the spring interacting with the recess wall on the frame right there. Unfortunately, this is not something I can do much about because I can't do anything to the spring. It's pretty polished spring and it has some kind of either coating or maybe a heat treat. When you fit the scale onto the liner, you have to sort of compress the spring a little bit. The spring rides hard against this edge. Okay, I want to figure out and get to the bottom of it. So what I did is I used magic marker to darken the entire area here where the spring can possibly interact, including the walls. And the plan is to reassemble the knife and to operate it. It's great. I'm going to operate it and see where that predominantly that interaction happens. So the Mysto is reassembled, but what I'm shooting for, here's the two decas that I have. And you can hear one little click and nothing else. Same here. And the ultimate metal scale axis lock or crossbar lock. Let's take this guy apart and see what that looks like in there. By now I've done it so many times, I probably could tear it down with my eyes closed. That'd be a good YouTube video. Disassembling expensive knife with your eyes closed. Okay, cool. Something's working. I gotta pop that pivot. Oh, this pivot is fitting hard. That's a good thing, you know, not complaining, just saying it fits hard. Huh. Here and here. Here is actually hitting it pretty hard. You can see it's rubbed off right in this area. Interesting. Yeah. So what to do? Oh, I see here a little bit of a snail trailing here. A little bit here on the wall. And just a little bit here. Okay, so let's attempt to correct it. 600 grit, it's pretty good quality. It's a belt from the belt sander that I'm sacrificing. Yeah, you can see in this area there is definitely a raised edge a little bit. So we're gonna try to hit it in all these spots. I never mentioned in any of my videos before, but my dad, who's now retired for 12 years, he was a jeweler. He was an engineer who became a jeweler, manufacturing engineer at that. And after we came to US, you know, he turned his jewelry that was a hobby into a business and was very, you know, successful in the sense that he did his art and made reasonably good money at it. And obviously, since my childhood, I was helping him around to make jewelry. And in Ukraine, you had to have a special permit to do that. And you had to qualify as a people's artist to get a permit. But then you could start making semi-production runs, you know, 20, 30 pieces at a time. And I was helping him around the shop, so I learned the ropes a little bit. And this is very similar. Maybe that's why I'm so keen on knives, because they remind me of that. Yeah, my dad was a master cameo carver too, and I learned a little bit of hand engraving. And that's how we cooperated. He actually paid me a little bit. For a high school student growing up in Ukraine, that was a pretty decent source of income, and I didn't have to leave my house for it. I learned stamping, soldering, engraving. And meanwhile, while I was in high school, I signed up for machinist courses. We had a shop class, and everybody signed up to be a truck driver, except for a couple of us who figured if we need to learn how to drive, you know, they mostly did it because nobody had cars at that time. And so for a young kid to learn how to drive, he had to sign up for a class like that. I decided that if we're ever going to have a car, I'll learn it then. Otherwise, it'll be just upsetting to know how to drive. And that titanium is easy to work with. I'm just trying to break that raised spot right here. Anyway, I'm gonna do it on this one. I didn't point these out. See these threaded holes right here? They don't do anything in the design of the knife. I think their sole purpose there was to attach it to a plate that can be mounted to the machine, and so the scale would sit absolutely flat in order to create this pattern. It seems nearly random, but it's probably very precise. While they were milling all these pockets out, it's already set up. All it is on the CNC machine, it's a automatic tool change, or maybe even not needed. Like you could set up your milling program to increase the rotation speed and decrease the feed, and then you can actually get almost a mirror polish with nearly invisible machining marks, and that would lead you to avoiding a little bit of embarrassment when the knife is assembled. There'll be no like Ukrainian dude on YouTube moaning about it. The plan is, this is my felt wheel for the Dremel. I'm gonna go hit it all with a Dremel a little bit, see what it looks like. I'll be right back. So, this is what it looks like now. Let's put it back together. All right. This video got a lot longer than originally anticipated, and here's the result. No play, nothing, 0, drop shot, listen. I must have knocked off the area that was causing the spring to catch and make a sound. One click. Let's compare it to the Deca. Compare it to the bailout. I have to say, Mysto is more ergonomic than the bailout. Bailout is just a little too skinny for my hand. Mileage will vary, but that's how a $300 knife should feel and sound like from the box. Good morning. Almost forgot the most important thing here.